Hi, David Odell, second day at the job site. We've got basically everything removed other than we got another half load of dirt to come out. I stockpiled some here. But today we're gonna focus on the wall. We've got our mixer, electric mixer. We've got pre-mixed concrete. We're gonna fill this up. We're looking at about a yard of concrete in this footer. We're gonna do a 3-foot high wall with some steps in it because we're on about an 18-inch incline here. So we'll have probably 2 or 3 steps going up here. So we're going to try to maintain a 3-foot high wall, and that'll you know, keep it nice and clean right here on this side. Anyway, let's get down to business. All right, here we are on the block wall, getting that dug out. That Vermeer came in real handy to get the excess dirt out of there. Now we're just going to kind of square it up by hand with a square point shovel, make the bottom of that footing square and the sides somewhat square, and then we'll start mixing up some concrete. Basically got 1 pallet of premix, and that's right around a yard of concrete a pallet, and I think we got the 90 pounders on this one, so we're going to split them in half, get them down to 45 pounds a piece before we lift them right into the mixer. That makes it much easier, much more manageable. Here's the new mixer I got. I sold that last one. If you've ever watched some of my other videos, you'll notice I used a different mixer all the time. Never was really quite happy with that one. It had a lot of dumping tendencies when you didn't want it to dump. And so I went with a different brand on this one, and what I found out about this particular brand is it's much better than the one that I got rid of that I was using for about a year. So I'm really happy with this one, actually. And it's very quiet too. When that's spinning, as my previous one was metal, this one's plastic mixer. Really nice and quiet. You don't even know it's running. It mixes it thoroughly and quickly. It's the blade design and the how fast it's rotating, all those little details. Here we are, the stepped up foundation here. We're going to have 2 steps in this, in the wall, in the finished product. And so now also get a brick cap on it. And because we're not retaining a whole lot of dirt here, I just went with the basic blocks, the 6/8/16s. A lot of times when I'm retaining more dirt, I'll go with 8/8/16 block. But in this case, it's only, you know, we're looking at about 1 foot, maybe 18 inches at the front end retaining. So it's not really a major retaining. But we're not going to use the fiberglass bars on this. We're going to use steel. Real old-fashioned steel to hold this wall together. Although you could replace it with the fiberglass rods, it'd be a lot thicker and it'd be a lot more of it. This is actually part 2 of a 3-part series. The first part we showed removal of the driveway and the setup and grading. Now we're moving on to this little decorative property line wall combination retaining. Now out at the front, past the front of the garage, you can only go up 3 to 4 feet max at back of sidewalk. The first like 20 feet in from back of sidewalk, there's some codes where you can't really go up a certain distance because when vehicles are backing out of a driveway, you can't see down the street for pedestrians or vehicles in the street. So that's why these walls are always set down low from the front of garage to back of city sidewalk. This particular wall we're building 36 inches, and that includes the cap. 36 inches at the sidewalk. And we'll try to maintain that height with some step ups in the block as well. Here's the mortar mix, just a pre-mixed mortar. It has your sand, it has your plastic cement already in there. Just add water and stir. A lot of people will add a little lime in there to make it a little more sticky and user friendly when you're slinging it around and wanting it to stick where you put it. but you can get away with it just as is. The lime makes it a lot easier to work. It does weaken it though.
You want me to start buttering and you can just keep laying?
Yeah. So we got verticals every, I think I got them every, looks like about 24 inches, yeah. Yeah, if you got 8 inches on each cell. The block wall ends right here because from this point on, as you can see by that post bracket that we set, it's going to be actually a wood fence from there on in to match the existing wood fence that's behind that. Now we're just going to go ahead and solid grout this. A lot of times you really only need to grout where the steel is in the wall in those particular cells. But in this case, since it is a partial retaining, we'll go ahead and grout the whole thing solid. So the way I determined the actual steps themselves, I just split the difference. I went like 5 block step, 5 block step. So they're equal sections on their steps. So those post brackets that you see there, I just went ahead and wet set those prior to the slab pour. That way they're already in the right place at the right height. So I can use them as a guide for the level of the concrete. And I don't have to mess with them when I'm focusing on finishing the concrete because they're already there. You can set them the day of when you pour, but I like to set them ahead of time. It makes it much easier. Here's a little, the same mix that I used in between the blocks, the mortar mix. This is the same stuff going on for my brown coat. What that does is just gets it nice and smooth, covers up all the grout lines from the block. And then of course after that cures out, I'll go ahead and put the final stucco coat on there. Right now we'll just rough it up a little bit, and I'm just using the green sponge on all this. Actually, we've got a little bit of both going on. We got the green and the red. The red makes it a little finer. The green is a little more coarse. So we got our brown coat. We're solid grouted. Now we're just going to go ahead and set the brick cap on here. And in this case, I'm just throwing a little laying down some mortar bed down on the top of the wall, and then I'm buttering up the sides of the brick, and then I'm sticking them in. That way it's all done. It's grouted and the bricks are set in one motion, and all I've got to do is sponge it and it's done. Some people will just set the bed and drop the brick and then grout bag, everything, but I like to butter the ends on this situation and just drop and go. Now I just sponge it all off with a sponge and water, and the bricks are clean and good to go. Now the final step is the stucco. This will most likely be painted to match the house at some point in time, but for right now we're just gonna focus on the texture, matching the texture to the house.
Yeah, that's the clip I need. I need one of those.
Now it's crucial when you put all these layers of mortar and then stuccos that you wet the wall prior to applying the stuff, otherwise it doesn't stick very well. So I'm wetting this down. As you can see, the moisture in the wall, I'm wetting it down as I go. Also, I laid some plastic down on the new driveway, which you'll see poured in part 3. Because like I said, this is part 2 of a 3-part series. Right there, I was just checking to see if it was hard enough to actually get the final finish. It was a little wet, so I pulled off and waited, went on to the last section. I'll put all that stucco on first, and then I'll come back again, double check it, see if it's ready to go for a final finish. Well, there's your final product. Nice brick cap, stucco finish, property line retaining wall. Alright, well, thank you for watching, and make sure you stay tuned for part 3 of this beautiful 3-part series. Have a good one.